common, I think, is they're hungry. And I know that sounds simplistic, but I believe that's the single most important element that separates the quality of people's lives. It's not just the ability to have hunger, but to sustain it. Hunger means that you want more. You want more of yourself. You want to make a better difference. You want to be a better parent. You want to do something more than there is today, and that you don't get satisfied. Most people start out with hunger at an early stage of life, and they lose it. But the people that come to me are hungry either because something's happened. They've had a birthday with a 0 on it. They've gone through a divorce. They're starting a business, and they know I've got to have a different level. Or they're the best in the world, and they're always looking for that edge that makes the difference.
What keeps you hungry?
I am hungry. I think what it is I think everybody is born with hunger. Like there's a desire to grow, to expand, to learn, and then disappointment sets in early in life for most people. And then we look to blame something outside of ourselves. And there are many events in our lives that can affect us all. We've all had pain and challenges. But I think if you can find within yourself the part of you that wants to constantly give something more than yourself, if you can find a mission larger than yourself, then you're more pulled to do something than trying to push yourself. And pull has much more power than push. I always say motive does matter. That if your motive is to serve something greater, there is an energy that comes up inside of you. So I feed 2 million people a year because somebody fed my family when I was 11 years old, and now this year we're feeding 4 million. I want to do more in that area. Every business I'm in, that drive just doesn't go away. What's interesting, since 2008, you've seen most large enterprise companies have really figured out how to respond to the world economic crisis at that time by cutting, right? They figured out how to cut their costs, they grew their bottom lines, and they built up their cash. And so they've done very well. But that was 5 years ago, and it's getting hard to keep cutting. You can't cut your way to growth at this point. So most major corporations are now saying, what do we do about the top line? How do we really grow revenues and sales? And so I built something called Coaching in the Cloud, which we've done for some of the most successful companies in the world. And what it does is it comes in and it revamps the sales process. If you think about it, in the 1990s, you had all these companies that were re-engineering, and they said, look, we're going to go virtual and save the real estate. All these salespeople are going to just virtualize. There weren't great tools then. There are now, Salesforce.com being one of those, right? But the challenge is they've lost some of the disciplines that maximize the process. So we also are showing people how to maximize technology. So I have a patent pending process in a company that's working with everybody from General Electric to Reuters. It's called Knowledge Now. And it allows you to take the knowledge you need. Instead of learning the old style, we got great technology and an old way of learning. You get to learn in the application, like Salesforce.com. While you're there, you're able to get the answers you need when you're working on clients right now. Not go to some class where you're going to forget 90% of it, but do it right now. We found it to be really, really impactful. Well, I believe in rapid change. Technology allows you to create change really rapidly. And I think, social media I've found to be a really useful research tool because we're living in a world where so much information is coming at us all the time that I always say, it's like we're drowning in information, but we're starving for some wisdom. And if you follow people that are really brilliant, it's almost like having an intelligent browser where they can bring you to the very best stuff right away. One of the companies I have came about because I'm always following these people. I was following some 3D printing, and I found out about this young man that when he was 14, he met a girl who had lost her arm and found out they didn't have the money for an articulated arm. They're about $80,000. If you lose both arms, over a lifetime, you have to get 3 for each arm. You can only imagine it's about beyond the range of most people. And at 17, he created an artificial arm that does more than the traditional arm, articulates, but you can actually, lift 350 pounds. And it was all driven, but instead of $80,000, he does it with 3D printing, and it costs $250. I saw the site. He was meeting with President Obama. NASA gave him a scholarship. I reached out to him, and now we formed a company together that's we're building some exoskeletons for people who hopefully will be able to walk, taking those arms and being able to take it to places like Africa, all over the world. With now at this price point, people's lives can change. My companies now together, the companies that I started and companies I'm partners in, do more than $5 billion in annual sales. If I could have ever dreamed that I have that kind of impact, it would seem ridiculous. But it's all come out of this hunger to constantly make things better and to find a way to do more for other people than anybody else is doing. And I found if you find a way to do better for everybody else, then obviously you have plenty of freedoms in your own life as well.
What book is Tony Robbins reading now?
One of them right now is The Believing Brain, which is fascinating. It talks about how our beliefs control our life, control our experience of reality, how it's shaped by both biochemistry and your environment. Really great book.
All right, The Believing Brain. Advice. One could say that you give people advice, you give them motivation, inspiration. What's the best piece of advice you've ever done?
I've had so much, but I think one of the most important ones was early in my life. One of my mentors named Jim Rohn said, Tony, all you have to focus on in your life is find a way to add more value than anybody else does, and you'll never have to worry about anything. Be the person that does more for others, and life will just be anything you want out of it. Really, is what it is. And he also said the way to do that is every day work harder on yourself than anything else. Because if you become more intelligent, more valuable, more skilled, you can add more value to other people.
Let's do something a little more prosaic, which is technology, apps. I'm sure you're obviously a avid fan of all this stuff.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite piece of technology or a favorite?
It's different than you might think. I do have it's a large piece of technology.
Go ahead.
I'm in a cryotherapy. Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
So for people who aren't, I'm on stage 50 hours in a weekend. I got 10,000 people. I do 26.5 miles on one day. Starts at 8:30, goes to literally 1 o'clock in the morning. I do 22 miles 2 days before. So it's like ultra marathon. I used to ice myself as I did in football, and you ice yourself.
You can take ice baths.
Yes, yeah, because you have to bring the swelling down in your body. And now I do these 3-minute nitrogen-filled cases that you get in. It's like a sauna, and it reduces your body temperature to minus 220 Fahrenheit. And it sounds like you freeze to death or you burn. If you had water in your body, you burn. You get third-degree burns. But there's no moisture. And it is amazing. It was developed originally for people with arthritis. I got one for my mother-in-law who had all these problems, no more arthritis challenges. So I started using it. It gives you endorphins. It resets your system. It's extraordinary piece of technology. It's expensive, but you can go to centers that are showing up all over the U.S. Most of the athletes, the Lakers and so forth, are starting to use these.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning. I just heard throw a little something on as everybody was getting in here from breakfast. But starting today, I was.
It's so cute.
No,
I saw it and I was just like, oh, I have to have it.
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments, there's one of these.
This piece is so you. I saw it and I was like, I have to have it.
From Renters Insurance to Rewards Credit Card.
Guys. I don't know why this isn't working. No, we don't want this. All right. Just turn it off. All right, here we go. So I wanted to, yesterday, I'm pretty busy with the division, and so I didn't have an opportunity to make sure to match everybody up. One of the things we're going to do with everyone who did sign an official 10K contract is we're going to match everybody up into partners so that we have accountability partners. I usually like to do groups of 3, actually, so you guys can all keep each other going, wake each other up in the morning, make sure your butts get here, and have a contest like the top people. We'll do a dinner or a gift card to go do something, massages or whatever, whoever's the top trio for the push period. So great, start yesterday. We did not have the number of demos that we needed at all. Still pushed out a 15K plus day. Our goal for today is a minimum of $10,000. Tomorrow, $10,000. Friday, $20,000. Cool. So in order to do that, we need 100 demos today. 100 demos. It's basically every 10 demos as an office is definitely $1,000 in sales. So we need more demos. And so that's something really focused on. We can't forget we have to respect the number of appointments needed. And that's really important. We got lucky yesterday. We've got skilled people and we were closing some big orders, but that's not average. It's not average to have a, $800-900 average order, throughout the course of the day. So we did yesterday, which is awesome, but I'm not going to count on that. And I will never count a push on having a $900 average order when I know our office average order is more in the 400, 450. So yesterday, according to the amount of demos we had, was a great day, even though it was an average sales day, was a great day according to that. But I was thinking about yesterday, and I know I heard Mary Lou talking to some of you guys about this, and I talked to some of the guys from the division about this, that you really the best pushers that I've ever had, the biggest performances that I've ever had, or that I've had in the last 5 years. And this was something that I remember hearing Parks talk about. One of the top groups, he actually broke the national record for fast start. So for push period. So for a 2-week push period, the record had been held. I think it was, when did John break that record? I don't know if it was 99, 2000. It was 99 or 2000, I believe, because I started 2002 and the record had held. It could have been 2001, but I think it was before that. When I started, they're like, oh, the 2-week period is held by John Berghoff. He sold 69,000, yada, yada, 18 years old, 2-week period, all in-home appointments. And I was just like, what? And that totally blew my mind. He's best friends with Hal Elrod, by the way. And so these guys they worked together, and I was just like, what? And then I was like on the elite with them. And I remember talking and he said, you know, every day, and I remember listening to him say this, and in 2011, it really like registered and our guys really clicked this, you know, but it was something that we always talked about. And like through all my biggest summers, but he said, you know, because like, how did you do that? You know, like that's like a big number, right? When you think about the number, I mean, I think that's a pretty scary number. It's like, holy crap, you know, like 69, like you're like, I'm going to sell 70 grand in 2 weeks, you know, like that's intimidating. It's scary. It's big. And that wasn't, you know, for him, it was every day. You know how like Justin walked you guys on Monday through like visualization process, and it was every day he just wanted to be number one for the push. And it was like, just be on stage and have like the whole room like standing up, clapping for you. All right, Carlos got a little taste of that, but for breaking like the all-time record and breaking whatever, and it was like standing ovation. And he would go through that process every day with his manager of just like doing a mock countdown at the front, you know, and like people, you know, hire baby and like whatever, and just like envisioning it. And he was like, I'm gonna do it. And every day he was committed to having the best day, like if it was the last day. And the thing is, like, everyone always pulls out all the stops at the end. So it was like, well, why don't I pull out all the stops every day? Like at the end of every day, it's like, what else can I create today? And really looking at it more as individual one-day pushes. And so that was something he had said was, you know what, I'm going to do 14 one-day pushes. And that one-day push, I want to make that one-day push as big as freaking possible. Like I'm going to do everything I can for that one day to get every phone order that I can get, and I remember when I coached, you know, when I was talking to Mike Arrieta, my number one guy who was Rookie of the Year in 2006, he was here, I think it was 2009. Yeah, it was 2009 when he was number one in the nation for the Summer All-American. He was going to University of Alabama, and I remember his goal was to go after Berghoff's goal. He's like, yeah, I want to go after the goal. And he didn't break the goal, but he did sell $50,000 in 2 weeks. He did make 25 grand as a 20-year-old. That's pretty cool, you know, even though he didn't break the record. But I remember Mikey being like, what do I need to do? And I'm like, he just focus every day. And we were talking about, you know, are you calling back customers when you're at a demo and you get your recommendation? So first of all, are you maximizing, right? And I think about, again, you want a really powerful push. I'm going to go through, tomorrow's going to be part 2 in terms of like getting all their best people always lined up, okay? But for time's sake, I can't cover all of it today. There's like different components. So part 1 is just, are you maximizing the amount of names and getting the best names that you need? And so how do we do that? We've got to be set up the right way. And some of you guys have gotten a chance to set up. Some of your guys' books look great, but there's certain things that I was taught years ago that work, you know, and there's different ways to do it. It's not just one way, but I know that it works. And so I like to go with something that I know, like it's bulletproof, you know, and that is, and we used to have a recommendation notebook and we switched years ago just because we're getting so much more with a binder, but having this set up. And so this right here. So first off, can I get a word, Austin? Can I get page protectors there in that box that's in the other room? So this right here, in your guys' blue book, okay, you should have your goals. So one thing some of you guys have worked on, some of you guys haven't, first thing in the front you should have is a little vision board. Cool. Having a page, and this is something that tomorrow night, by the way, for our team night, I want to like just order in, whether it's, you know, pizza or wings or whatever, or we all go to Whataburger or Buffalo Wild Wings, but I want to get the vision pages done. Cool. Like I want to get them done, like bring pictures, bring stuff, because I know that helps your customers connect with you, who you are, and it really does make an impact. So in the front, having a page to say, hey, Miss Jones, like just a little bit about me, you know, like I'm studying architecture and I'm doing, and I remember like Mariana had all her stuff and different projects she'd worked on. And she's like, yeah, you know, like I already did my undergrad, like I'm working on grad school right now, you know, doing this. And she'd share, she's like, oh, this is my family, this is, you know, just a little bit about me, but they got more connected. If you look at Andy Janti's book, it's like pictures of him and his family, all this stuff. Like a lot of the top guys have that because it just connects your customer with who you are. So just having that, you know, and then it was like, all right, so let me tell you about Cutco. And so you're going through, these are some of my Cutco goals, right? And so you have your different goals that you're going through, you know, your All-American, whether you have the one sheeter or you have this, doesn't matter, but having that there. And then what I would put is I would actually put the sponsorship here, okay? Mine was in page protectors, but I would have here your push goals. So the push thermometers, So she actually has all this together, which is fine. Push goals. This is awesome. Zyla put the help me buy a brick, this right here, okay? Last night I made a verbiage, and I'm going to get that out so you guys can tell customers in the beginning. So I put this, I typed this up. She has my computer, all right? But in the script, I basically just made a little quick script just so you guys can explain it. And just in the beginning, you're like, hey, Miss Jones, you know, and explain how the hospital would be like, hey, this is something that this is my division manager here, and her best friend is the vice president for Angel Wings International. It is a nonprofit, by the way, that provides medical help in Haiti. Well, when the earthquake hit 6 years ago, you know, they lost a lot of stuff, and one of the things was the hospital down south just went down, you know. So they decided let's build a hospital. This has actually been built by Cutco people, and so it's all Cutco people and their friends and family, you know, whoever put in money for it. But we bought the land a year later, started built the foundation. This is when they went back and had the foundation and decided to raise money through selling bricks. Cool. And so these bricks are going to go like that all on the floor of the actual clinic. So this is something I'm super excited about. And my goal, by the way, is to actually raise $1,000 so I can buy a big brick, you know, and so she has $5,000 or, you know, whatever your goal is that you want to raise. And so these next 2 weeks, we're having a fundraiser basically through our competition. And in order to help us sell more, one of the things that we're doing is anyone who donates to Angel Wings in these 2 weeks, you can actually get on some of the sets, the larger sets, discounts, and some of that's just extra free stuff, just as a thank you for helping us with the fundraiser, you know. So we'll talk about that later, but even as little as $10, you can get a free piece of Cutco that's $40 or more, you know, and just to help out with the hospital. So we want to raise $30,000 as a division this next month. And so really working hard and super excited about being able to contribute towards that. So letting them know that, be like, so that's all tax, you know, deductible, and be like, and we'll talk about that later. But you actually can buy your own brick for your family if you wanted to. So you could write a check and let me know, you know, what you want put on it. You can put a Bible verse or a quote or your family name. So you can actually buy your own brick. Be like, but if you don't want to give $500 or $1,000, then you can put towards my brick. So either way, but more bricks the better, so we can build this hospital. And then, you know, these are my sales. So I actually like to do all my sales goals first, Zyla. So I'll do who I am, what I'm working for with Cutco, you know, so all the different goals. So for the campaign, you know, the different awards, campaign goals, and then, you know, thermometers, sales goals. So I would have this here and push sales. And then I have my sponsorship in here. And so what I would have is this guy right here, I would put right here, and I'd say, hey, and this right here has nothing to do with sales. Because I tell them hey, all the scholarships, all the fast, right, this goal, the push goals, that's all based on sales. So I let them know once I've gone through all that stuff, hey, all this is based on sales. You know, so if you do see anything you like for you or for gifts, definitely let me know. Not only are you getting a heck of a product, but it helps me out so much for my goals. And then, guys, here you say, hey, and by the way, this right here has nothing to do with sales. These are actually some people who have sponsored me so far. Actually, look, there's your friend Gianni. Oh, there's your friend whoever. And I'm like, hey, I'll show you how you can become a sponsor later. I'd be like, and this is something I'm actually super excited about. And then I dive into Angel Wings. So that's how mine. And if you look at I have a workshop that I run, but it's simply who you are, you know, what you're doing with Cutco and how that ties in, and all your goals and sales goals, you know, and then, you know, this has nothing, and then the not to do with sales. The sponsorship has nothing to do with sales. Fundraiser, you know, you can just donate, or, you know, anything that you do buy, by selling more, we can obviously donate more. Something Sarah did her first summer, all her tithing, you know, and she'd share with her customers. I give 10% of all my money, you know, back. And so I like to give to great causes. You know, I give part of it to my church, and I give part of it to things that move me, you know, and so whether something, you know, someone is in need with this and I want to give it to them, or whatever, but I put aside 10% of all my money to just give back. And so I know I'm very blessed. And even here, I have a chance to earn some pretty awesome income at, you know, 18 years old or 19 years old. And her customers were like, that's awesome. What 18 or 19-year-olds thinking about giving back, you know, or tithing and all this stuff, that's amazing. And so that moved her customers. And you know what? They definitely bought more stuff, and they were were tied into her because they were like, what she's doing is awesome. And the fact that she gets it and she's giving back. And so she'd always share the things she was giving back to. I don't know if you guys saw last night, Eric, the assistant manager from Montgomery, he had posted on Facebook. I don't know if you guys are friends with him on Facebook, but he posted it. And I thought I copied it to share it on our West Houston page, but I just copied the link of Angel Wings, not his post. But his post had the link included, and I guess that's what I copied by accident. But I wanted to show you guys like a post he put out, like, oh, friends and family, I'm in a really big competition, whatever. And he had said, hey, my goal, this is something dear to my heart. My goal is to donate $1,000 to Salvation Army, I think it was, here in Texas, or something with like, flood relief stuff. And then also to Angel Wings International, and he posted that. So that's cool, so people see like what you're doing, what you're up to. So there's a lot more when it comes to rapport and connecting. You guys heard Josh Mueller on Monday, bring the goods, and just all throughout, like, are you connecting them? Are you connecting with them? Do they love you? So then we'll come back to you, all right? So once I finished my demo, that's where I'm like, oh, how did you enjoy everything? I'm like, oh, you did great, and then I'm like, oh, and then I go back to my goals because I'll have them, sign, we'll fill in my thermometer, wherever I'm at. And so I would put the numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up if you're going for the bigger numbers. Or I do it in 500, 1,000, 500, 2,000, 500, 3,000, and go all the way up. But I'd put the numbers and then just fill it in. And by the way, as they buy, have them sign. If you guys look at my book and you open it, the scholarship has signatures all over. So just anything if they buy, have them sign the page. I like having demo goals too. And so having that, and I would possibly even have like, make a thermometer on the back of this with your demo goal for 40 demos, and say 40 demos completed will hit my goal, and having them sign that. So I always had a thermometer with sales and demos, which this you could even cut in half. The region put this together for us for a sales front, but I like to have both sales and demos. So they said, Miss Jones, if I hit 40 demos, I will hit my goal. And it was great because then the people that didn't buy, they didn't feel, I'm like, hey, I didn't even go to here. I didn't want them to feel bad, because one of the things that hold you back from maximizing your recommendations is that your customer at the end goes, oh, like in their hat, and sometimes they'll say it, but it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I wish I could have bought more. Like, anyone got that before? And so the customer is like, oh, and they feel bad they couldn't buy more. Well, am I going to maximize the amount of recommendations I get? No, because in their head, they're not going to give you anyone they think won't buy because they don't want them to feel bad. It's like a subconscious thing. So I want them to feel good about doing the demo no matter what. And so that's why I always had a demo goal. And if you look at my books in the other room, I don't know, Austin, if you can, when the pancakes are not burning, grab for me. But I had a demo goal and sales goal, or sales goal and demo goal. And I told Miss Jones, my most important thing, Miss Jones, is completing 100 appointments in these two, for that month, or, whatever it was. And so it's completing 40 appointments in the next 2 weeks. They're like, I know if I complete 40 appointments, I will hit my goal. I'm like, some will buy, some won't. I'm like, but they'll introduce me to nice people. I'm just really excited about getting 40 appointments hit. So when I was sharing with Miss Goals, my push goals, I shared my sales goal, and I'm like, hey, Miss Jones, in order to do that, I just got to complete 40 appointments. I'm like, that's my goal. So thank you so much for taking time today and, helping me knock one off the list, right? And so I said that in the beginning. And so when I went back, all right, so there's two people, right? Number one, they didn't buy. If they didn't buy, I just, again, my thermometers were next to each other, but I go, hey, don't even worry about this. Hey, put your initial here. And I'd have them put their initial or their name in one of the boxes for my demo goal. And I'm like, Miss Jones, thank you so much for doing the appointment. I'm like, don't even worry about this. And I'd cover the sales. I'm like, when you're ready, you let me know. I'm going to hook you up with some cacao. I'm like, but here's the most important part. Remember how I told you I get paid every time I show cacao, but I can only call people I've been personally recommended to, And so what I need you to do is while I clean up, jot down 200 to 300 people who might be nice enough to help me out. No, I'm just kidding. And I'm not looking for anyone you think would buy, just anyone super nice like you to take a look. And so here's how this works. When I get 50 sponsors, I get a $150 reward. Cool? All you have to do to be a sponsor is write down 10 names, all right? So when you fill out, and then now I show them my binder, all right, which on the front I'd have something like help me win scholarships, whatever, or you can just have this if you want. But I'm like, yeah, so this right here, Ms. Jones. So when I fill out a full sheet like this, if you fill out a full sheet like this, you would sign 3 times. Let's say you got to 20. you would sign twice, like whatever that says. Did. All right. So in here, and even by the way, if you only got to 10, you would still sign once. And when I get all 50 signatures, I get that $150 award. Cool. Here's a couple sheets. Jot down as many as you can. And I always have made sheets in the front, at least 2 for them, and I had their name already on it on the first page. The second page I didn't, but when I handed them the 2, their name was already at the top of it. So I had 2 made sheets in the front, and I'm like, here, these are for you. I'm like, I already made them for you. I'm like, is it cool if I use a sink? And then I'd go clean. All right, but it was an expectation of like, I know you're gonna give me names. I made you sheets. Here's 2. If you need more, let me know. And I'm not saying all that, but my actions and my setup is saying that. And so that's why I say you've got to be set up for success. And some of you guys in this room are, you've heard this before, or awesome, you might know, but like this is something that's really important when you teach other people. Like there's so much psychology that goes into everything. And them just seeing like a page filled out, they're like, oh, okay, I don't know if I can fill out 2, but I'll at least fill 1 out, right? Because I handed them 2 sheets and their brain says that. They're like, oh, I don't know if I can do 2. So I like that. If you hand them 1, they're like, I don't know if I can do 1. Hand them 2 sheets. I don't know if I can do 2. I'm like, hey, Miss Jones, if you fill out 2, you go in my favorite customer book. If you only fill out 1, I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm like, jot down as many as you can. I'm like, I'll help you brainstorm, but I'm going to go clean. Okay. So rewind. 1 is your blue book set up to tie them in, share your goals, and make sure they know in order to hit these sales goals, I have to hit blank demo goal. Okay. Because at the end, if they bought, and even if they bought, when I go back and I'm like, oh, here, sign my this, sign my that, like all my sales contests, I have them sign the papers. And then I'm like, well, hey, Miss Jones, I'm so excited for you. You're going to love your Costco, but like, I just need to complete 40 appointments. Like, that's the most important thing. I'm like, so first and foremost, I just want to say thank you again so much for just taking time out for me. I'm like, it means a ton. And by the way, with the other person too, like make them feel like a rock star. The one that didn't buy, I'm like, hey, Miss Jones, I know you weren't anybody got what you wanted today, but like when you're ready, you let me know. I'm your Costco girl. But most importantly, thank you so much for just taking time out for me. I'm like, it means a ton. I'm like, I know there's probably a gazillion other things you can be doing right now. Like my mom was always busy, so like I know that moms are busy people. So I just want to say thank you for taking time out for me. I'm like, it means so much. And it really helped me get 1 step closer to my goal. So like, here, put your name here. And so now they feel good before I ask for Rex. And that's what I want. I want them feeling good when I ask for Rex. So again, the one that did buy, they're still going to think of people that'll buy because they get it. They know more sales equals more scholarships for you, your contest hit, all that. So they're thinking of you that will buy. So even as they're writing, I'm like, hey, Miss Smith, who do you know who might not buy? I know you bought, you're going to love your stuff, but who do you know who might not buy? But they're super nice like you, and they can help me with my 40 appointment goal. I'm like, if they're nice families, even if they can help me with my 40 appointment goal, I would love to see them. And they're like, okay, cool. So I want to make sure I'm looking at that. So everyone good with that? So we go back. And then when you guys go to do the recommendation approach, like, so do you remember this? Okay, well, here's what can really help me out. And you dive into that. Well, guys, when I show them, like I'm showing them the proof, all right? And you always want to have, the sheets that are filled out. So I'm like, hey, so when you fill out a sheet like this, you would sign 3 times. You fill out, you get to 20, like Josie did, you'd sign twice, and then even if you only get to 10, and I love this because it's like they see 30, I'm like, even if you only got to 10, you still sign once, all right? And when I get all 50 signatures, I get the $150 award. And then I hand them the 2 sheets. I'm like, here's a go. I'm like, I already have a name on it. It's ready to go. Like, here's your sheets. I'm like, is it cool if I use a sink? And when you hand those sheets need to have marked targets, okay? They need to have, 10, 20, 30 already highlighted on them. They need to have, whether it's stickers or it says something, whatever it is, for me, I put an arrow on 10, I put a smiley face on 20, I put stars, on 30. She has shoot for the moon. So she's got a little moon there, stars there. That's awesome. Whatever it is, but it's a target. It's something that they're going for. It's something that visually, people are visual. So they see that, and that's going to help them get there more. Now, when you're brainstorming, all right, so first thing is you ask, right? So you ask, you hand 2 sheets. That's step 1 when you guys are handing stuff. And so if you're jotting anything down, if you're coaching anybody, make sure they know. Step 1, you ask. You do your approach, show the proof, all right, and you hand the sheets, and you roll. By the way, even while still just doing that, you're still going to have people that still write down just a couple people. Because even though you said it, you're not just going to have to say it once. I've had to say it sometimes 10 times, Ms. Jones. Again, I get paid $16. Who's nice? You're too nice not to have friends. Let's roll. And I've gone through, with someone. And by the way, they ended up getting to 12 or 13. They're like, I just don't know anyone. I'm like, that'll buy. I'm like, now who's nice from work? Who's nice from here? And by the way, the more rapport you can build, the more real you can be with them. That's another big thing, So anyway, when you guys are going through, so they hand it to me. I hand it to them, excuse me, and I'm cleaning up, and I do general thought joggers. Hey, who's nice from work? Hey, who's nice from here? Hey, who's nice from wherever? And so just general, thought joggers. And it's like work, neighbors, and anything we talked about in the beginning, right? Like that we did building rapport. Like I'm just throwing those out there. And then whenever they're done writing, right, the first time that they're writing down, whether they write 3 the first time, they give you Josh 20 something the first time, whatever they write the first time, it's always people they think would actually be interested in the product. Always. Doesn't matter if it was 2, 7, 20, whatever they wrote in their first run of writing before they stopped the first time is that. So then when they give that to me, like, oh, here you go. I always, say thank you. I'm like, thank you so much, so you think they would like, I'm like, oh, who loves to cook or whatever. And then I make a couple notes and I hand it right back and I go, now, who do you know who wouldn't buy, but they're super nice like you? Like nice people from church. I said, who do you know? Like they're super nice. You're like, there's no way they'll buy, but they're super nice and they don't hate college kids. I'm like, jot them down too. And so now I'll brainstorm, more people with them. And then the third, once they're done with that, I'm like, oh, and by the way, and that's where I use this. And I'm like, who do you know that, and you can use this or give your own, but I'm like, who do you know that loves to entertain? Who do you know that loves really nice things? Who do you know that loves to shop? Who do you know that gives the best gifts? I would probably be jotting some of these things down, but you guys want to ask these things. So who gives the best gifts? Who gives the best, who has the best house? By the way, ask, who do you know who's remodeling their kitchen? Right now, I want to know who buys the best gifts. I want to know who loves to shop. I want to know who loves nice things. I want to know who loves to cook. And I want to know these things because I want to know who's remodeling their kitchen. By the way, are they each going to know somebody? No, but you just ask. And then eventually you'll have someone who goes, oh my gosh, my sister's remodeling her kitchen. Score. All right. So you want to find where you're going to get those Cutco kitchens. Who loves to have the best? And find that out. All right, cool. I want to find that out because I want to close big, big deals, big packages. We're going to talk about that as we go into the weekend. But I want to make sure we're set up. Because I was going to do sales stuff today, and I said, you know what? The most important thing is we have a crap ton of people to see. We need more demos. I know we can sell, and I can teach you guys how to sell more. But it doesn't matter if we don't have enough demos because we've got to play the numbers out. So that's so important. So you thought check. I remember Eddie, one of my guys, he got 3 from what lady? Like he told me this. He goes, Kat, he got 4. My lady was 3. And he goes, that works so well. And he was always averaging like 3 to 5. And Eddie was like, oh, Kat, like I always just get a couple people. And I'm like, well, by the way, it's not bad. That's national average. That's where you're at. It's about 3 to 5 people. But that's like without brainstorming, without sponsorship, without anything. So, do this. And I remember talking to him and showing him how to do this. And his next demo, he's like, the lady wrote down 4 and he handed back. He goes, now, Miss Jones, who do you know who won't buy it, but they don't hate college kids? And he's like, who's nice from here? Who's nice from there? And he brainstormed with them. And then he goes, oh, and by the way, and he went through this list with them that Donnie had made. And he said, and I also can do virtuals. So who do you know that lives in different states? Because I'd love to sell. I'd love to see somebody in every state. And he did that, and he got over 30 people. I think it was like 34 people. I had a lady who gave me 3. I remember in Boca Raton, she's like, I just don't know anyone. Again, it's I don't know anyone that will what? Buy. That's what it's going on in their head, even though they're not saying that. And I was just like, oh, Miss Jones, totally. I'm like, but who do you know who wouldn't buy? Like, they didn't even say who would buy, but I know that's what they're thinking. And then I'm just like, oh, who do you know who wouldn't buy? But they're super nice like you. And they're like, oh, well. And I'm like, seriously? I'm like, if they're nice, I'd love to see them. I'm like, I get paid just to do it. I'm like, so I don't care if they're going to buy or not. I'm like, I appreciate you helping me find the buyers. You can star those people you think would, but I just want every nice family. And I'll tell you right now, some of the biggest sales I have had in my career were people that they didn't even write on the list or people that they didn't star as their top people. And some of their starred people bought like a custom set. And some of the people, they were like, there's no way that they would get anything. And on James Hayden, $3,700. There's a lady in the Shady House and Homes at $5,000 order. There's other couple that from our church who was just like kind of did their thing and didn't really talk to anybody. Oh, $7,000 order. You know, like you just never know. So your job, I mean, you want to brainstorm and ask the people. And last step is you want to say, now, if you were me, who are the top 3 to 5 you would see? Or hey, if I was your daughter, who would you want me to go to see? Who are the top 3 to 5 that you're like, oh, they would totally be into this product. All right, so that's after. So everything leading into it is no product, no product, no product, who's nice, who's nice, who's nice, right? And once you get the double or triple sponsor or 5-time sponsor or whatever, now it's like, all right, now Miss Jones, who does love to, and like finding out about these people. But it's like, hey, if you were me or if I was your daughter, who would you want me to go see first? Who are the top 3 to 5 that would love the products? That's where I get picky with the product. And I'll put stars next to them, like, all right, awesome. All right, and then there's part 2 that we'll go over tomorrow, because for me, I love them to call their top 3 to 5 for me always while I'm there cleaning up. But even if you don't get to do that, just knowing who the top people are is huge, all right? My last point I'll give is if you're not having them send a text message heads up to all their friends, you're losing a lot of money and you're cutting your short, you are limiting the amount of demos you can be doing this push, all right? So starting today, if you have it, and if you can go back and ask auntie or best friend's mom or whoever to shoot a text to you, to their friends, all right, to their network, and have them do that. Write up the text that you want them to send. And I can post up another sample one. But today, to me, as we go into, we've got 14 days starting today. If we take out 2 all-day call days and you didn't do anything but call and go to church on Sunday, well, then you've got 12, whatever, that's cool. That's more than enough time. But we've got to make sure that we have the leads to load those days up. So today I'm making sure, and some people have already done it. I saw Olivia's up. I saw Charles yesterday post up, and I think Mary Lou shared it in the group. But are you having customers even post up a picture of you and them at the house and saying, hey, this person's working really hard for a scholarship, yada, yada, yada. So having people put stuff up who are over 30 on social media. So not just your friends and family, but as you're doing demos, you have a sale, or even you don't have a sale. You're like, Miss Jones, do you use Facebook? And they're like, oh yeah, almost every person in the 30 to 50 range is on Facebook, okay? We're like, do you use Facebook? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, can you do me a favor? I'm like, would you be willing to post a selfie of us and just say, hey, I just met this awesome U of H student working really hard for a scholarship. His name's Anthony. He gets paid to do it. There's no obligation to buy. But if you'd be willing to help him, it really helps him out. He gets paid to show Cutco or whatever, and they can say whatever, like, oh, it was awesome. He's so fun, whatever. But they put a selfie of you and them up there. You will get some demos from that, okay? You will get some testimonials from their friends who own Cutco and see it and go, oh my God, I love my Cutco. Always, every post I've seen ever go up always has something commented on it from somebody that owned Cutco. So I'm putting posts up. So these are to-dos as we wrap up this meeting. 1, is your book set up the right way and you have your stuff in the front? And is your binder set up so you can point to success and pages set up? So that's the first thing I make sure to do. 2, does anyone over 30 that have they put up a post for you? Can you have them put up a post for you today? Okay. 3, on your demos, as you're doing demos, can you take a selfie with Mr. or Mrs. Jones and have them post for you? Those who haven't been to SLDM, I have a script that shows sample stuff that I can give to you that you can show to customers and they can make up their own, or you can make up your own, all right? So you guys can do that. So having them put that up there so you guys have it, maximize the amount of leads that are coming in. All right, but those are the things that I'd be focused on right now. And if you haven't, which was before all this, is make sure you have your freaking 16 down, that you know your approach, so you ask the right way of like, hey, I get paid every time I show Cutco, and I can only call people I've been personally recommended to you, this is what I need you to do. And you have to have your approach down. Those foundations don't change, all right? And if we're doing that and you're targeting, you're going to build a strong base. And lastly, was a text message. Are you having them always send a heads up text and just while you're cleaning it, hey, Miss Jones, did you just get the text I sent you? So for your first ones, it's, hey, did you get the text I sent you, right? And I'm like, is there any way you could forward that real quick to all these people so that way they know that I'm calling and I don't catch them out of the blue? So that's the first thing, is I'm having them just shoot that text out to everybody. And then it's easy because when you go see their friend, and guys, I know because I did this, and I did this for 2 weeks. And I remember in 2000, 11, all right? Our office was trying to hit a really big goal. And so I was just like, all right, let's go. You know, like, I'm going to go out there and sell. And I did this. And I was like, I have very limited time. I was running an office, all right? I ran an office that year that won 2 national championships. We had a really big goal that we were trying to hit. And I was like, dude, we got to hit this thing. And I said, and it was December. My guys were going into finals. And they're like, I got to study. I'm not going to be able to. I'm like, no. And it was just like the worst time. And it was like, we were going to barely hit the goal or barely miss it. I was like, nah. We were not missing this thing. So Kathy dusted off the sample kit. It'd been a couple years since I was like out in the field hardcore. And I was like, let's do this thing. And I contacted some old customers to come service them. I got leads and I had everyone doing the text message heads up. It was the best thing ever. And I was like, hey, can you do me a favor? Because we didn't do that before. But in the last 5 years, texting has become such a popular way of communication, you know? So I was like, hey, can you shoot this text? But here was the great part, ready? The next demo I went to, I'm like, hey, Zyla, Carlos, do you have the text that Ariana had sent you? And they're, oh yeah. I'm like, oh, can you send that real quick to these people? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, for sure, honey. You know, and it's normal to them because that's how they heard about it. Does that make sense? When I have Miss Jones, I'll talk about tomorrow, call the top people. It's not weird when I tell that next top person to call the top people because how did they hear about it? Miss Jones called her. It's normal. It's how they heard about it, you know? So keep that in mind too. So even at first, you might feel weird, like, oh, can you text everyone? Like, they're like, oh yeah. They just literally forward the text to everyone real quick. And I'm like, all right, awesome. And that way they know that I'm calling. And that's going to make things so much easier for you. But every time I was calling people, I was like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, hey, this is Kathy. Ariana had told me to give you a call. Did you get the text from her? And they're like, oh yeah. And it was like, boom, so easy. And I was like, all right, well, hey, the reason I'm calling is da-da-da-da. And I'd go through. But my question was like, hey, did you get the text message from her? And it was like, yep. Boom. And I knew they did it because I did it there when I was with them. And that's a key to that. So tomorrow we'll talk about texting and getting yeses to make sure you're maximizing that aspect. But step one, let's make sure we're crushing your recommendations. So you have tons of people to call. Cool. That way you've got fuel, you've got gas for the whole push. You run out of gas, your car ain't moving. All right. I don't care how nice the car it is, how great it is. It's not going anywhere if it doesn't have gas in it. And your gas are your recommendations. It's your leads. All right. That's your bread and butter. So I've got a quick video and then we will huddle up and get ready to kick some booty this morning. All right. We got some pancakes.
If you do not, then you'll wake up in a couple years from now and you'll be just where you are now. Just exactly where you are now. So your life will blow by faster than you realize. It's super, super fast. Right now, a year passes for me feels like a week. That's how it feels. Years will blow by. 4 years from now will seem like nothing, dude. And you'll either be a pimp, choke. Dude, anything that of real significance takes years to cultivate. But what's cool is that the years blow by fast. You can get what you want actually pretty fast. Our minds are filled with, again, we're contrasting ourselves with people, comparing ourselves. Rather than getting into momentum, you shouldn't be thinking. People are thinking too fucking much. Or they're comparing themselves to other people as if by comparing yourself, what does it matter? They're mentally fucking late. People, Tony Robbins says, people major in minor things. Turn off the fucking TV. It's the news and shit is a goddamn fucking tabloid. What help is any of that shit giving?
There's an edited version too.
Dude, like, you have to train your mind to be like, okay, do task. Look at the task. Focus on it. I work fucking hard, dude. Everybody that I see working is, in my mind, fucking pussies. Holy shit!
Yeah, sorry. There's a edited version, and that is not the one. That is not the one. We will.
I'm so offended.
All right, but
He's so cute. I saw it and
the
I was like,
whole.
oh, I have to have
We're
it.
not. I'm
Take
not gonna
one
put
of
this.
those if you're having one of those moments.
All right. There you go. He's like, let's go. All right. No, but here's. By the way, this is when we. There's a. I don't know if you guys have seen this video that they're all like huddled up in a locker room. It's one of my favorite videos, and we used to like all the time play it. I'm gonna find it for tomorrow. But you know, it's the "I'm a Champion" video. Has anyone seen that before? It's freaking awesome. And you could play it every day in the morning for yourself. And I talked about yesterday those affirmations, right? And like what you're telling your brain. And the little girl who was like going through there. But this is. I can just play it here. It is such a great video. And this is something that through our biggest pushes for years, we've played this and our guys just like rallied behind, oh, there he is. rally behind this right here. And I think about for you guys, yeah, oh yeah. It's one of my favorites.
Who am I? I am a champion. That's right.
You have to read because you can't hear him very well.
I will conquer what has not been conquered. He will not be in my peace. I will believe what others have doubted. I will always endeavor to put esteem, honor, and respect for my team. I have trained my mind, my body will fall. Who am I? I am a champion. I will acknowledge that is my opponent. Do not expect me to win. I will never surrender. Weakness will not be in my heart. I will look to my comrades and to those who have brought me to this world and those who have trained me, and I will draw strength from them. Who am I? I am a champion. I will practice, go out to the field of battle, and I will move forward in everything I can do. And I will reach my field of battle at any means of my disposal. And when I get there, I will fight violently. I will rip the heart from my enemy and leave it bleeding on the ground, because he cannot stop me. Who am I? I am a champion. To my side, I have comrades. Comrades that have been through me to thick and thin, through sacrifice, blood, and tears. Never will I let them fall. Never will I let them down. And I will never leave an enemy behind. Because our opponent does not know my heart. Who am I? I am a champion. No one will deny me. No one will define me. And no one will tell me who and what I am. It can be. Belief will change my world. It is through God, it is through country, it is put me on the moon. And it will carry me through this battle. Who am I? I am a champion. Defeat, retreat, those are not in my words. I don't understand those definitions. I don't understand when things go wrong. I don't understand mistakes. But I do understand this. I understand victory, and I understand never surrendering. No matter how bad things go, my heart, my mind will carry my body, my business in me. Who am I? I am a champion. Today will be that day. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now, right here, in your house, in your home. Who am I? I am a champion. History will remember me. I will not let everybody think God. I will define myself. I will write my own praises. And no one will tell me what I did in the thing. I will never go out not knowing I've given everything I've got. Because who am I? I am the champion. 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 I am the champion.
Get up, let's get our huddle. Let's go. Good time, baby. Let's go. Patty, lead us. Let's go. Go, go, go.
All right, let's get it. What time is it?
Game time!
What time is it?
Game time!
Who's it out?
Warriors!
Who's it out?
Warriors!
Warriors!
All right, let's do this thing. By the way, I need you guys tracking your calls for the day. One of the things I want at the end of every day